Is this how a champion falls? Silent, embarrassed, exposed. After a humiliating collapse in Game 2, the Boston Celtics, reigning NBA champions, finally broke their silence. But make no mistake, this isn't about how great the Knicks were. This is about how completely dysfunctional, uninspired, and flat-out bad Boston looked when it mattered most. And in the eye of the storm, one figure stood at the center of the chaos: Joe Mazzulla. The defeat wasn't just a loss. It was a meltdown, a slow-motion car crash witnessed by millions, where everyone knew what was coming, and yet no one hit the brakes. A blown lead, a final possession with the season on the line, and somehow, no timeout, no play, no plan. Why? That's the question burning through the fan base, analysts, and even privately, within the Celtics' own locker room. Why does Joe Mazzulla continue to trust chaos when clarity is needed most? Why does a coach with every resource, every tool, every star player at his disposal choose to watch rather than act? "I thought we had a good look," Mazzulla explained post-game, his voice flat, his words almost robotic. He spoke of missed executions, of subtle defensive shifts by the Knicks, of full-court setups and pickup points. But what he didn't say rang louder. He didn't learn. This isn't a one-off. Mazzulla made the exact same mistake in last year's playoffs. No timeout, no shot, no win. Déjà vu. But this time the stakes are higher, and the margin for error thinner. And still, no accountability. He deflected, pointed fingers at Tatum's decision to drive, talked about angles, about options. But where was the leadership? Where was the urgency of a coach fighting for his team's survival, for a franchise legacy? Meanwhile, the Knicks, opportunistic and aggressive, smelled blood. But this was never their masterpiece. This was a Celtics implosion. Jaylen Brown disappeared. The bench gave nothing. And for long, suffocating stretches, Boston looked like a team allergic to purpose. No rhythm, no identity, just 5 guys in green, watching the clock drain along with their composure. But in the ashes of failure, a flicker of something curious emerged. Sources close to the team suggest that Jayson Tatum, long criticized for his passivity in big moments, took this loss differently. According to team insiders, Tatum spent hours post-game not just reviewing film, but confronting teammates and even approaching assistant coaches about structural changes. The kind that go beyond shot selection, the kind that challenge the very system they've been playing under. Is it possible Tatum has discovered something deeper, not just about his own struggles, but about what's holding the team back? Some believe he's begun pushing for more. On-court autonomy, more read-and-react freedom, less robotic adherence to Mazzulla's pre-programmed actions, a return to instinct, to flow, to basketball at its purest. It's ironic, isn't it, that in the lowest moment of the season, it might be Tatum, often accused of disappearing, who's finally stepping into his voice. Because if Boston has any hope of clawing back from this 0-2 hole, it won't just be through better execution, it will be through redefinition. And here's a thought that might rattle the TD Garden to its core. What if Mazzulla is the wrong coach for a team this talented? He's brilliant at preparation, a master of analytics. But when the game devolves into chaos, into soul and instinct and clutch-time improvisation, does he have the feel for it? Or is he just another clipboard guy too afraid to get his hands dirty? That's the uncomfortable question, the one no one inside the organization dares speak out loud. But perhaps they should, because this isn't just about one missed timeout. It's about a pattern, a philosophy, a stubbornness that, if unchecked, could cost Boston everything it spent years building. The Celtics have the tools to still win this series. They have the firepower, they have the experience, but they must now overcome not just the Knicks, they must overcome themselves, their habits, their blind spots, their coaches' hesitations. Is Jrue Holiday's award a heartfelt honor or a calculated move in a bigger chess game? While the Boston Celtics spiral in the playoffs, after 2 brutal losses to the New York Knicks, an unexpected storyline has taken center stage, and it doesn't involve a last-second shot or a locker room blow-up. The NBA has just crowned Jrue Holiday as this year's social justice champion, a prestigious title that comes with the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Trophy and a $100,000 donation to the Jrue and Lauren Holiday Social Impact Fund. On the surface, this feels like a well-deserved recognition. Holiday and his wife have spent years working quietly but powerfully to uplift underserved communities through economic empowerment, education, and mental health advocacy. But then something unusual happened. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the very icon, whose name is on the trophy, a Lakers legend, is a towering figure not just in basketball but in American social discourse, made a rare and public gesture. He posted a personal message to Jrue. "Just want to say how proud I am of Jrue Holiday 11 for the effort he has continually made to his community. Congrats on making the captain's list." Innocent? Maybe. But for some, the alarm bells went off. Why? Now? Why this moment as Jrue Holiday battles for relevance in a Celtics team on the brink of collapse? Why such glowing words from a Laker, a figure so historically tethered to Boston's fiercest rival, while the Celtics are in the middle of a potential playoff embarrassment? Let's be real, the NBA is no stranger to narratives, to optics, to power moves disguised as praise, and this moment has layers. Yes, Jrue has been a class act and a professional throughout his career. Yes, he's earned this recognition. But Kareem's post wasn't just a comment buried in a press release. It was personal, it was loud, and it came at a moment when Boston fans are questioning everything: their coach, their stars, their future. So here's the hot take no one wants to touch. Is this award being politicized? Not in a malicious way, but in a strategic one. Jrue's contract situation is stable, for now. But what if this is a soft campaign, planting seeds for his post-Boston options? What if this is the league's way of elevating Jrue's legacy, shifting his public image from reliable role player to respected veteran leader, a perfect face for a rebuilding franchise, or a cultural pillar in a city like Los Angeles? You think that's crazy? Think again. The NBA doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in whispers, narratives, endorsements, social capital. And Jrue, now with a league-endorsed trophy named after a Lakers icon, just got a massive boost in both visibility and value at the very moment Boston is floundering. Meanwhile, back in Boston, Holiday's numbers may look modest. 11.1 points, 4.3 rebounds, 3.9 assists, but his value isn't in the stat sheet. He's the guy who stabilized the locker room after Marcus Smart left, the guy who brings championship DNA from Milwaukee, the guy who's quietly become the conscience of a team that often drifts into arrogance. But here's the problem. He's doing everything right off the court, while the house burns down on it. Game 2 was a disaster, not just a loss, but a spiritual collapse. And while Jrue stayed composed, focused, professional, one can't help but wonder, is he too good for the dysfunction surrounding him? Which leads to an even more uncomfortable question for Celtics fans. Is Jrue Holiday being celebrated? Now, because he won't be around when the real reckoning comes, it's a chilling thought. But this award, this sudden surge of public praise, this very specific endorsement by one of Boston's most hated rivals, it all feels like a goodbye, wrapped in gold. And what does that mean for the Celtics? They're at a crossroads. If Holiday walks, they lose the most dependable adult in the room, the one player who doesn't chase numbers, who doesn't flinch under pressure, who plays defense like it's sacred. They also lose a bridge between their stars and their soul. That's how Jayson Tatum shattered the silence, and what followed left the entire Celtics organization on edge. No more vague clichés, no more smiles at the podium, no more dodging questions with polished PR lines. After 2 humiliating losses to the New York Knicks and days of mounting pressure, Tatum didn't just take accountability, he tore the curtain down and vowed to expose everything. "I take full ownership," he started, steady voice, blank stare, "but I'm not going to be the only one held accountable." And with that, the floodgates opened. What no one saw coming was that this wasn't just about shooting percentages or turnovers. This was personal. This was raw. This was a warning. Shot to the entire Celtics infrastructure, coaching staff, locker room leaders, and perhaps even the front office. Tatum, once the quiet face of consistency, is now the man ready to burn it all down. if it means saving what's left. Behind the brutal Game 2 loss, where Boston looked like a team without heart or direction, chaos has been simmering. Sources around the team describe communication breakdowns, clashing egos, and a toxic hesitation infecting key possessions. But fans didn't know the half of it. Until now, Tatum reportedly told team insiders he's done carrying the narrative alone and intends to lay out the dysfunction in detail. The missed assignments, the blown coverages, and worst of all, the indifference in huddles when the Knicks went on those soul-crushing runs. And then there's this. Whispers of internal resentment between key players, questions about certain veterans checking out during film sessions, and a growing belief that some within the locker room simply don't trust the system. Tatum's frustrations boiled over when asked about his identity as a leader. "We can't keep pretending everything's fine when it's not. We are missing shots, but we're also missing urgency. That's not just a stat, that's a mindset. And that starts from the top. That's not just a critique of his teammates, that's a direct shot at the coaching staff, perhaps even a Joe Mazzulla himself. And it raises the stakes dramatically. Statistically, the drop-off is shocking. From 31.3 points per game in round 1 to just 18.0 in round 2. From being the calm killer against Orlando to looking like a passenger in MSG. But the numbers aren't the real story anymore. The real story is that Tatum, who has spent years dodging controversy and quietly towing the company line, has reached a breaking point. And he's about to drag everyone into the spotlight with him. For years, Boston has tried to walk the tightrope, developing from within, preaching patience, selling the idea that our time is coming. But Tatum, now a seasoned All-NBA talent and Olympic gold medalist, isn't interested in waiting anymore. And his message is loud. If we don't fix this now, I'll be the one to tell the world exactly what went wrong. Think about what that means for Brad Stevens, for ownership, for the perception of the franchise. A star of Tatum's caliber going public with internal failures would be catastrophic for Boston's image, especially in a league where stars drive everything, from trades to team culture. What if this is a setup? What if Tatum is building the narrative to either force Boston to evolve or justify a seismic change of his own? He's got leverage, brand power, and now a burning frustration that's no longer being contained. What if this is how it starts? The franchise cornerstone applying pressure not by demanding a trade, but by threatening transparency? If the Celtics get bounced early, that threat might turn into a manifesto, a tell-all account of the failures that no one wanted to confront, and it won't be anonymous. It'll have Tatum's face on it. This isn't just about bouncing back. In Game 3, this is about whether the Celtics can survive the storm within before even thinking about the one coming from outside.